Just so you know, the Voice of Democracy and kind of had this theme of what makes America great, so my speech kind of covers that. So, what makes America great? Why I will never take her for granted again. I walk off the bus onto the dirt beat road until promptly stopped by a stray dog crossing my path. I walk into a school and onto the concrete that serves as the floor. The heat is oppressive due to the lack of air conditioning and the tropical sun. Later, I walk outside into the courtyard to pray for the children in their language. But then, I run. I run amongst the chaos to hurry inside the school because a police officer who is required to stay on campus because of persistent gang activity had fired shots. This all happened in El Salvador this past summer, and since then, I've reflected on an unexpected blessing. As a citizen of the United States of America, my main protection is the Constitution, not the constant presence of police forces. For while that occurrence was unusual for me, it is part of everyday life of those students. Those conditions are not only normal for those who live in El Salvador, but also most developing states. I went to Costa Rica to teach girls to sew their own uniform skirts after learning that it is likely they could not go to school past the 6th grade due to their inability to afford them otherwise. Unfortunately, every developing state that I've encountered or studied follows a pattern: instability, insecurity, and poverty. Additionally, they lack proper means of education and individual rights. And what do all of these countries have in common? Socialism, restricted rights, unorganized, corrupt governments. Citizens of the United States often become complacent of their privileges and neglect their rights within their beloved democratic republic. Democracy is the fertile soil of innovation in our godly pursuits. Democracy is the foundation of what makes America great. However, our democracy and freedom was bought at a price. The majority of United States citizens will never run from a violence that manifests from an unstable government or martial law. The men and women of the United States Armed Services have run before American citizens to ensure their liberties. The courageous have already run into battle, fought for our country, and some have died for it. The nation's military continues to protect the vision of our founders since the nation's beginning. The Lord blesses our country as He guides our military forces so they can enforce our God-given human rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No nation is proud of every aspect of its history. Nonetheless, this nation can be proud of its founding principle: all men are created equal, a principle securely defended by an unequaled military strength. Consequently, our armed forces contribute to the reasons in which our nation is great. I have 30 family members who have led by example and have served a combined total of 240 years and counting in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, National Guard, and Merchant Marines in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, or Afghanistan. I spoke with my grandfather, a Vietnam veteran, about his service in the Marines. He said it shaped him into the man he is proud to be today. While he has horrific memories and has lost friends, he said he has no regrets and would do it again, for he enjoys the freedom he fought for and would continue to make sure everyone experiences it. In the words of Ronald Reagan, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction and must be fought for, protected, and handed on for our children to do the same. If our nation is great because of the rights and the protection it offers, the people have the responsibility to vote and practice their rights in order to respect those who have fought for those rights, including my grandfather and family service members. I admit, I took the fruit of other sacrifices for granted. It is so easy to stay within the comfortable bubble that our borders symbolize. It took leaving the country that I love to realize everything that I had taken for granted. As a people, we ought to remember our freedoms, be thankful for our veterans on more than just the 4th of July and Veterans Day. Therefore, I'd like to thank every person who has contributed in the creation and protection of this great nation, for without them, there would be nothing to take for granted in the first place. Our democracy, its selfless defenders, and its participating citizens make our nation great, and I vow to never take my citizenship of this great country for granted again.